Millz Young here, part of Pick Dawgz. Who's ready to bet on UFC? Me, that's who. We're back, fight fans. Hopefully you guys had a good week on UFC 299. Now we're going to be going over the UFC Fight Night card headlined by Tuivasa and Tybura. But before we do that, hey, how'd you guys do last week, man? Dustin Diamond Poirier with the knockout of the night, man. Big underdog came won in the co-main event spot. I thought St Peru Denis was going to be able to win inside the distance. Championship fight. Sean O'Malley dominated Chito Vera. I thought he was going to be able to win inside the distance, but hey, man, he retained his title in there. Some other good entertaining fights. Michael Venom Page definitely showed impressive skills, debuting his skills now in the UFC. Showed, hey, man, he could dominate the same way he did in Bellator. But besides that, man, how'd you guys do last week on UFC 299? And hopefully, man, this week we're going to go ahead and make you guys a lot of money on the bets and on the predictions and on the picks. But hey, before we do that, let me know one thing. Did y'all really think Sugar Sean O'Malley was going to, dominate Chito Vera like that? Because I didn't think so, man. That was the main thing that was impressive to me. It seems like Sugar Sean O'Malley is getting better fight by fight. And it seems like now with the belt, first time defending it, man, he might be going to that next level. His striking looks so crisp out there. It was a martial arts display. All right, now look, first fight of the night. Let's go over everything for you guys to let you guys know, man. This fight card doesn't have a lot of fighters on here with big names that a lot of people is going to recognize. But unlike the other fight cards, this fight card doesn't have a lot of big, heavy chalk favorites on here. So we can find some ways to get paid. So after you guys watch this video, look out later on for my fights to finish and not go the distance video. That's where I'm going to go over all the fights and see how we can get paid on round props and see, other ways to get paid. First fight of the night, Chad Hellinger, 12-7, taking on Charlie Campos, Cory, 8-3. All right, so Cory opened up a -180 favorite on here. He's making his UFC debut, man. He has finishing ability. Coming at a good camp too. I want to say it's Cerro Longo is where he's coming from. Chad Hellinger, he's 0-2 in his last two fights in the UFC. He made his UFC debut on the Contender Series with the win in that fight. He's a guy that's out there, hyperactive, Tim Elliott type of style when it comes to it. If you can't put him out in the first or second round, he might be live, in that third round to win that way. And here, I think the favorite gets it done in here. Ellinger usually loses by sub. Cory is decent with his takedowns. I wouldn't be surprised if he wins by sub in this one. Second fight on the card. All right, women's fight, man. We got a good one. This opened up at a pick'em. Now you got money coming in. Cory McKenna, 8-2, taking on Jacqueline Amador, 7-1. All right, Jacqueline is 1-1 in the UFC. In this fight, she's now the underdog. Cory McKenna, she's what? 4-1 in the UFC or 3-1. She has some good wins over some good opponents. She's coming from the Cage Warrior promotion. But that's how we was betting her. She's a young fighter who's just getting better every single time she steps out in that cage in the octagon. She took about a year and a half off. With that year and a half off, she's been commentating in other promotions, calling fights, seeing way more fights with her own eyes and learning and evolving in her game. In this spot, she's now a -120 favorite. I think that's the reason why. Jacqueline, I like her a lot. She came from LFA, but she's a jiu-jitsu player that likes to pull guard a lot. She gasses out and gets tired on the feet. She has power, but her striking's not there. I think Cory and McKenna gets it done in there. I can even see a late third round finish in there, but don't get it twisted. I do like Jacqueline, but when it comes to the wrestling and the cardio of Cory McKenna against Jacqueline, I gotta go with the cardio on this one, man. Always bet on ABC. Always bet on cardio. So we're going with Cory McKenna to get it done. I'm gonna say third round of decision. Third fight on the card, Joshua Culibao, 11 wins, 2 losses, 1 draw, taking on Danny Silva, 8 wins, 1 losses. All right, Joshua Culibao is a good fighter. He's a -180 favorite in this spot. He's taking on Danny Silva. Danny Silva's from the Orange County area out here in my backyard. He actually trains at one of the UFC gyms in Costa Mesa. Made his UFC debut on the Contender Series, and he was able to surprise some people and get the job done in there. His boxing's good. He has good footwork too, power in his jab as well. Joshua Culibao, he throws a lot of volume. He can mix in takedowns. The problem with him is if he gets taken down, You know, that's where he's vulnerable at. But I don't think Danny Silva's gonna get him down on the mat. I like this fight, man. Betting wise, I wouldn't be putting minus 180 on Joshua Coulibaly. He should be able to get it done by decision. But I'll be honest, man, if you guys like a live underdog in here, Danny Silva is a live underdog in this spot. I'm going back and forth on the pick, but my prediction is the fight resume of Joshua Coulibaly is way better. He only has 2 losses, and one of those is to Jalen Turner, one's to Leon Murphy, and he has some good wins in his belt, wins over Beldasarian and a few other people too. I think he gets it done. 4th fight on the card, Thiago Moses 17-7 taking on Mitch Ramirez 8-1. All right, so in this fight, Thiago Moses is coming in now against a new opponent. Mitch Ramirez is taking this fight on short notice, so that's why you have Thiago Moses as like a minus 400 favorite out here. Mitch Ramirez actually is the guy that I was thinking of in there. He's explosive on the feet. He has a lot of KO power. I think he has 5 or 6 KOs, 1 win by sub. One of his fights, he only went to the decision or distance in there. Man, I'll be honest, man. Thiago Moses should be able to get this one done in here. Minus 400 on the books. Might have something for you guys later. Keep following the show and see what we can do. You know, that might be one leg that you can do in a parlay if you guys are trying to get like a lower price tag on another fighter out there or something. So let's see what we can get with you guys later though. Next fight on the card, Rafael Fajilo, 15-3 taking on Osborne, man, 12-6. All right. Fialo, 1-1 in the UFC. If it goes down to the mat, that's where he's vulnerable to win the fight. He's a minus 160 or 70 favorite now. Osborne, man, he can impress you, man. In this one, Osborne, I think is getting overlooked, man, just because he's coming off of a few wins, few losses, and you know, back to back. But I like the fight resume with Osborne in this one. And I would be looking at the points in this one. If you guys can get Osborne to win on points, I would look for it that way. I actually think the dog gets it done in this one, man. So I actually think Osborne can keep it on the feet and, you know, outdo him with volume. He's looked good in a lot of his fights. He hasn't really just been dominated in any of his losses or anything like that, too. He lost a few close decisions in there. I'm going to take the dog. The dog's out the cage in that one. Next fight on the card, Jose Nunes, 10-1, taking on Chelsea Chandler, 5-2. Chelsea Chandler's now stepping up to this weight class. The minus 140 favorite on Nunes is kind of warranted, but money's coming in on Chandler, so she's probably going to get down all the way to a minus 120. I'll be looking at it at that price of tag in there. Man, she throws with power, Nunes does. Chelsea Chandler, you can't trust her, man. She was out there in Norma Dumas' fight running in the cage. There's a meme out there. Look it up, you guys. But when it comes down to it, she is a hard hitter. She's aggressive. She's going to have the size in this fight. So if you guys are looking at this fight like, there's no way. How is this girl a favorite and she's twice the size as her? Just wait till they start throwing in the clinch and everything in here. I do see a lot of people taking Chandler this week as their dog. I got to go with Nunes as the favorite. Next fight on the card, Mike Davis, 10-2, taking on Nathan Levy, 8-1. Mike Davis is a minus 3-1 favorite in there. Nathan Levy, I think he's live in this spot. I like both these fighters, man. Mike Davis, he's on a 3-fight win streak. Wins over Mason Jones, wins over Slavakov, and Gifford. But, you know, the fight IQ on him is kind of questionable because sometimes he's out there just going through the motions, you know, instead of actually going through the fight, you know. Nathan Levy, though, man, I like this guy, man. Yeah, I think the dog's going to be live in this one, man. I think that price tag is way off. Mike Davis is a good fighter, but he's not active enough. Nathan Levy had another fight scheduled with Pete Rodriguez earlier on in the year that got rescheduled. I wouldn't be surprised if Nathan Levy could even win by submission. So let's go ahead, man. I think the dog will be live in this fight, but the value is on Levy. If Mike Davis was a minus 160, minus 180, that's where the price should be. He shouldn't be a minus 320 against Nathan Levy in this spot. All right, next fight on the card, Gerald Meerschaert taking on Brian Barberena. Gerald Meerschaert's to a minus 230 favorite. He opened up at a minus 180. Brian Barberena stepping up in this weight class. It's not his weight class. And, you know, the story is, hey, you can easily sub Brian Barberena. What's GM3 great at? Subbing people. So that's the way they think the fight plays out. I think the same thing in this one. I will say this, though. I think the price tag is a little bit off. GM3 should have stayed at that minus 180, minus 190 price tag. Now where he's up now, you know, you're kind of like putting him up there with the big favorites on the card, and I don't think he should be that big of a favorite on the card. Next fight on the card, Penny Kenzan taking on Macy Chason. Macy Chason is a minus 2-1 favorite now. Minus 220, I want to say, on the books. But the game plan is this for her. She can get Penny Kenzan down to the ground with the takedowns. That's her path to victory to win. Penny Kenzan's a nice kickboxer fighter. If she keeps it on the feet, she can maybe win by the scorecards, though. This is another fight that I'm not too, overly look forward looking to betting on, but I will say Macy Chason gets it done. Next fight on the card is a banger. Isaac Dogarian opened up a minus 140. Now he's up to a minus 180. 6-0, taking on Christian Rodriguez, 10-1. Man, Christian Rodriguez has shown every single fight as an underdog. He usually upsets him. Coming off a win against Cameron Simon, coming off against Raul Rojas Jr. I mean, he's as advertised, but I like Isaac Dogarian in there. He's a dog, man. He's that Midwest chopper, man. I think he's going to be able to get him down to the ground and submit him and do what Raul Rojas couldn't do. In this one, I'm going to say submission early round 2. All right. Next fight on the card, Kennedy and Nzechukwu taking on over OSAP, St Peru. Kennedy and Nzechukwu is a minus 600 favorite. Oh, man, it's hard to trust anybody at that price tag, especially against a fighter like St Peru who can go out there and just do his move. He has that famous St Peru choke, but I don't think he gets it done. I think Kennedy and Nzechukwu finishes him inside the distance. Co-main event time, Brian Battle taking on Anjos. Man, this fight's going to be good. Brian Battle, minus 160 favorite. Now he's up to a minus 180. Anjos is live in this spot, man. The fight resume on both these fighters is not there, but they've been putting in the time and getting better in the UFC and putting in time with their gym. I like Brian Battle in this spot. I've been making a lot of money with them in the UFC, but I'm telling you right now, Anjos is live in this spot. Anjos is a live dog in there. So I just got to go with the guy who I think has way more weapons to win, but Anjos is live. Give me a second as I think about that. Yeah, man, I got to go with Brian Battle. I think he should be able to win by decision. Stuff the takedowns, get it done. Main event time. All right. 2 heavyweights stepping into the cage to throw down, and we got a good fight to predict on this one. Why? Because the price tag, man, Tuivasa minus 125. The comeback on Tybura is at a plus 105 to a plus 110 on here. Now, let's start off with Tuivasa, the favorite in this fight. All right. His friend Tyson Pedro just retired from the UFC about 2 weeks ago. He was like the better fighter out the Islander crew out there in New Zealand and stuff like that. He just put in his gloves in the middle of the cage and retired because he can't go on, he can't pull off those wins in the cage and get those win bonuses. He was like 0-2, I think, in his last 2 fights. Tuivasa now is on an 0-3 losing streak in his last 3 fights out. But the people that he lost to is highly accredited fighters to where, hey, I have no problems with that. A lot of the people in the division will lose to him. But I'm going to go back to memory lane. Before that, he was on like a 3-fight win streak. Before that, he was on a 3-fight losing streak. I'm talking about that Tuivasa, okay? He was 2 multiple times on a 3-fight losing streak. We got to start looking at what's the fighter and what he's become. He's not putting together quality wins too. Within that amount of time, I think his best win was over Greg Hardy, I want to say. What are we doing here? Augustus Sakai, maybe? All right. Marcin Tybura, same thing could be kind of mentioned about him, though. I mean, but you can't mention this. He's not on no 0-3 losing streak or 0-2. He doesn't put on multiple losses. Might lose a fight, go on a 2-fight win streak, lose one, go on a 2-3 win streak, back to back. the level of opposition that he has wins over, I gotta go with Tybura in this spot, man. And he's one of those guys that showed his physique. The way that he started off fighting is nothing the same, man. He slimmed down, showing that he's putting in the time in the gym. I like him in this spot to get the upset, man. Why? Because Tuivasa is going to go out there and try to knock your head off. Of course he can. He can knock anybody out. But Tybura, he fights with a more methodical game plan. If he can just use those wrestling takedowns to get this to the later rounds, Tuivasa's not throwing the same in that middle of the second round. I think Tybura could win by a ground and pound, get him down, and just win by ground and pound. I think the dog's live in this spot, man. Hear me out, man. I seen Tybura, man. I was making money with him back-to-back a couple of times. He's one of those guys to where he's been showing in the heavyweight division. As an underdog, he's been profitable. As a favorite, you might look at. I mean, his win over Alexander Romanov really showed, hey, man, he can put together a game plan and, you know, win as an underdog, even as more recent as of late. So I think Tybura is going to win in this spot. I'm going to be taking the underdog in this fight, and I like round 3 to start. Okay, so yeah, that's my pick on the main card. What do you guys think, man? I mean, hey, just think about it though. I'm not mad at Tuivasa, and the price tag on him is a good price tag as well. I just got to go with the fighter that I think's going to win the fight in here. I mean, and if you guys are betting on Tuivasa, just remember, you're betting on a guy who drinks beer out of a shoe like this, like right after he wins the fight and stuff. So like that's what Tuivasa does. He drinks shoeies out of a shoe and boot, you know. But yeah, man, do what you want with it. All right, man. Millz Young here. Look out for my fights finishing out to go to distance video coming out soon. See you guys, Pick Dawgz, next time.